today, as many of us see record high temperatures.
Come down here off the coast.
Thunderstorms begin to erupt from the Ohio Valley to New England as another very hot day begins to wind down. Hello, I'm Bill Keneally and welcome to this edition of Weather Center.
And I'm Dan Atkinson. The heat continues to be a major story across a large section of the country. More about that coming up, but first we're focused on the storms in the Northeast. Here's our severe weather expert, Dr. Greg Forbes.
Thanks, Dan. With all that hot weather in the east that we've been talking about, and then with a cold front that's coming toward the region, it's not surprising that there's severe weather threat across the region. There's plenty of energy both from the heat and from the winds aloft. Some of the winds in New England are 40 miles per hour or so, and that just adds to the strength of any of the downdrafts within the storms. And so the main threat for these storms is winds in excess of 60 miles per hour in some places. We can take a look here. The squall line is surging eastward toward the Portland area. It's another little bow-like surge toward southeastern New Hampshire, and we can take a look at that. Here's one here coming this way, another towards southeast New Hampshire, a smaller one coming into western Connecticut, and some other places out in Ohio that are threats. There's actually 2 lines of thunderstorms producing this, and they're still growing with time. There are severe weather watch boxes in effect from parts of Maine through New Hampshire, New York, down in northern Pennsylvania and Ohio. Also a couple other places down in Georgia and Arizona. We'll focus on the eastern threat. In satellite imagery we see here not just 1 but 2 lines of strong thunderstorms. The first line is ahead of the cold front. The second line is pretty much along the cold front. And more or less just like yesterday, there are thunderstorms lining up all along that. Many of these are severe. There are so many severe thunderstorm warnings in effect we can't read them all. I'll just point out a little bit more detail here on radar. This bow-shaped echo, that's where the winds are pushing most strongly and forcing the thunderstorms to race ahead. There's downdrafts inside these little brightest red blips. So not every place will get strong winds, but certainly some places already have had 60 mile per hour winds, and some threat of hail up to about 1 inch in diameter. Similar bulge now starting to show up in New York, coming in across here in northwest Connecticut. Strong threats also in the northeastern part of Ohio, as well as again approaching the Cleveland, southwest suburbs of Cleveland. We'll keep you posted. Now back to Dan in the studio for more on the severe weather in the southeast.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Forbes. We will shift our focus on radar toward areas such as Georgia and South Carolina, where you too are under severe thunderstorm watch with the potential for damaging winds as well as hail, which could be in fact as large as 2 inches in diameter. We're receiving reports from Spartanburg County, South Carolina. Pelham, golf ball-sized hail has been pounding areas there across that portion of South Carolina. And in the zones here across northern and eastern sections of the state of Georgia where severe thunderstorm watch is in effect, we certainly certainly find plenty of active weather, with thunderstorms making their way generally toward the southwest very slowly. That's the case now over downtown Atlanta. Fulton County, Georgia, under a severe thunderstorm warning, with a cell moving from near Grant Park on down toward Lakewood Park. Again, drifting toward the southwest at about 5 miles per hour. As a result of that, it's going to be some very heavy rainfall spread over a small area. Notice, too, the Savannah River Valley, very stormy at this time as cells continue to fire up in South Carolina and make their way on across the Savannah River. Be prepared for high winds and heavy rain through these regions. Another radar focus takes us to the central and western Gulf Coast, where it is showery and occasionally the thunder and lightning occurring also around New Orleans back toward the Houston area. But generally you get inland, and high pressure is suppressing in most cases across the southeast precipitation, except for the zone here where we're on the lookout for severe conditions. Meanwhile, there is also a newly issued severe thunderstorm watch in effect in the southwest, as Dr. Forbes was showing us just a moment ago, and we continue to monitor unsettled conditions, particularly over southern portions of Arizona, where parts of Cochise and Santa Cruz counties are under severe thunderstorm warnings, those moving generally toward the west. So brace yourself if you look toward the eastern horizon and you find those clouds lowering and thickening. Let's check out the heat. That's a big story still, and here's the latest with Bill.
All right, Dan, thanks a lot. Again, the news is not good, folks. We still have another, I'd say, 12 hours to go before we see some sign of drier air coming into New York City and Boston. Now, in the case of Boston, we may be comforted by some rainfall, but it could come at a price. As Dr. Greg Forbes mentioned, there could be some rough weather with that, especially on the north side of town in the Manchester area of New Hampshire and the Merrimack Valley there in northern Mass. So we'll have to watch out for that. But the upside to that is it will bring some quelling of the heat. It's been just torrid of late. The problem here, the front is now cutting through Detroit. The air is drying out quickly. You head up there by, say, around the areas near Pontiac and Howell. It's a much drier air mass than it is, say, down around Monroe and Toledo. But that air is going to work its way southward. But we continue to have the offshore flow. It's just brutally hot. Temperature now 100 in New York City, 102 in Washington at Reagan National Airport. That is good enough for a record high in the day. I saw it was as high as 104, I believe, in Fort Belvoir to your south. So it's just a torrid heat wave out there. Coupled with that, very high humidity. You have dew point temperatures running in the 70s, and the dew points in the 70s indicative of very, very moist conditions at the surface. Couple these two weather elements together, and it's just brutal. 111 is how it feels in D.C., 109 in New York City. It's a real dichotomy in Boston, too. You get in town where it's only in the lower to mid-70s, not too tough to take, but you get out there on Brookline and heading west on 128, it's a whole nother world. It is wicked hot. Apparent temperatures running about 100 to 105 out there by Bedford and Norwood, so use caution even in metropolitan Boston. Check out the record highs now, 102, that's at this hour. We may not be done yet in Washington nor Harrisburg, both kind of jockeying for that dubious honor. 101 at Newark and 101 in the Park as well. Baltimore at 100. I saw 101 downtown at the Inner Harbor, 98 in Atlantic City. So even here on the beach, no respite. It's all offshore flow. We had some onshore flow in the Carolinas. That's good news. Only 72 in Charleston, 80 in Atlanta. Rain-cooled air. We'll take that. 94 in Jackson, 95 in Oklahoma City, and unfortunately no rain on your radar site. 76 is the dew point at Little Rock, 73 Atlanta. This is a whopper, though. A dew point is 74 with temperatures up near 100, makes for an apparent temperature. How does it feel on the epidermis? 110 right now in Raleigh, North Carolina, so please take it easy. I think in Raleigh it's going to dry out a little bit, but it's going to stay hot again, unfortunately, on Wednesday. To the north, you want it drier and cooler. We've got plenty of that to go around, too, from Montana all the way to Michigan now, and as we have said, it's starting to bleed in around the Motor City. Chicago's in the clear. There's your front, by the way, from roughly west of Cleveland to north of St. Louis, and behind it, temperatures are very, very tolerable. 81 in Minneapolis, 91, though, ahead of the front in St. Louis, 91 with the dew point still around 75 in St. Louis, versus an 81 with a dew point of 50 in Minneapolis. I'll take that one, with a relative humidity checking in at about 35% on top of that. So a gorgeous day. The Rockies, nice after a chilly beginning. Now 88, though, in Boise, 87 in Salt Lake City. The day dawned chilly in the Big Sky. Check out the record lows, as low as 35 in Belgrade, Montana. Now for the forecast, here's Dan.
Thanks a lot, Bill. The early evening map will find that funnel system still pushing the threat of severe weather through portions of the Northeast. Be on the lookout there and stay with us here on the Weather Channel. We'll keep you updated. By tomorrow morning, cooler, drier air overspreading places like Boston, New York City, and Philadelphia. Big contrast in comparison to what you've endured for the last couple of days. By early evening on Wednesday, rather showery across portions of the Southeast and the West. Bill?
All right, Dan, thanks a lot. Did you know one gender gets hit by lightning more often than the other? I think I have an idea which one that might be. And do you know in which state you're more likely to be hit by lightning? Find out the answers to these and other questions tonight in our special series of reports on lightning. For instance, when is it safe to go out after a storm?
The end of the storm is equally dangerous as the beginning. We don't recommend going back out until 30 minutes after the last lightning and thunder.
Again, join us tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern Time for our special series, Sky on Fire, and learn where and when you're safest from lightning strikes.
Speaking of safety, the roadways could cause you some difficulties. Check out the travel trouble spots coming up.
That'll be in TravelWise next.
It's here. The wind tunnel by Hoover in a new model that's actually self-propelled. It's so easy to use, it almost works by itself. Tests show wind tunnel picks up more dirt than any other clean air upright, including all bagless brands. Call now and this new self-propelled wind tunnel can be yours for just 5 easy payments of only $79.99. And there's more. Our Super Stretch 20-foot hose, an agitator on-off switch for bare floors. And unlike bagless brands that use dirt cups, which are messy to empty, Wind Tunnel has a convenient and clean allergen filtration system. Act now and we include all these extras, a $50 value, free. Just 5 easy payments of $79.99. Call now for your self-propelled Wind Tunnel by
Your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Pennsylvania, 95 degrees, heat index 100. I have some good news. I'm going to give that to you when News 10 first at 4 comes right back. 99, same with Delaware, 95 to 97, and down the shore, no heat relief there. West winds, green flies, it's a mess. Ocean water temp 67, heat index triple digits, not pretty, but the heat index will be dropping significantly tomorrow. Here we go, radar marking the leading edge of the
we're going into the year 2000.
That will be going through here around midnight. With it, the chance of a passing shower
led to the blackout, but said today the problems have been fixed.
All of the feeders that were damaged were repaired and are in service.
Con Ed claims the system is in a higher state of readiness this time around, including extra crews on call and engineers monitoring the loads on individual feeders and transformers. Mayor Giuliani, though, remains skeptical.
Look, I don't manage or run Con Edison, and nor will I vouch for them.
But the mayor does admit, however, that the company has done a better job of keeping the city informed about problem areas. So far, they're not having any problem areas in the city. The city officials do say, however, that police and fire are at the ready. Cooling stations will be open if needed. Now, Con Ed is not the only utility having problems in our area out on Long Island. LIPA also had some serious troubles. Marcus Solis is live in Williston Park with that part of the story.
And Sandra, residents here know all too well about power problems. They were without power during the last heat wave for 36 hours, even though the effects have lasted much, much longer. Now with the heat and humidity, now that they're here again, residents are wondering, can it happen again? Like tens of thousands of Long Islanders, folks on Sheridan Avenue lost power during the heat wave a little over a week ago. But when the electricity came back, several found their appliances weren't working.
We lost a chest freezer, refrigerator, 2 VCRs, and a microwave.
Residents say electricians have told them the damage was likely caused by a power surge. Now with the sun beating down again, temperatures and concerns are rising.
Very nervous about this weekend. I thought about that last night. I watched the news and I see the weather and I'm like...
But the Long Island Power Authority says it's confident things will be different this time around. First, 1,800 pole transformers, many of which failed under record demand, have been replaced and upgraded. Secondly, it's not expected to get as hot this weekend.
There will be high temperatures and some high humidity, but not to the same intensity. And especially going into a weekend, which is also good. There will be a lot of commercial buildings that will be closed for the weekend.
And that may be the biggest factor of all. Without the commercial load, demand is expected to hit between 3,700 and 3,900 megawatts, well below LIPA's limit of 5,000 megawatts and below the July 6th record demand of 4,590 megawatts. But just to be on the safe side, extra crews will be on standby.
We'll have extra people in the substations, and we'll also have extra people at the generating stations to make sure that we're making sure that there's enough capacity.
Now, officials are concerned if the heat wave sticks through Monday and the commercial load comes back, and of course they are urging everyone to conserve energy. And finally, as for the people affected on this block because of that likely power surge, LIPA says it is investigating, and they're telling residents they can fill out a claim form regarding the damage they sustained. We're live in East Williston. Marcus Solis, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Marcus, thank you. Today is just the beginning of the blistering temperatures. Get ready to sweat out a few more 90-plus degree days in this heat wave. Sam Champion is in the Weather Center with a look at just how hot it got. Sam?
Bill, you're absolutely right. Even though yesterday, as we got to